Our mateys, happy Talk Like a Pirate Day. YaySTEM is here, and we're so excited to be with you and for you to get to know us a little bit. My name is Dayna Cade, and I currently teach first grade, but I'd like to introduce you to my partners. And this challenge is Karisa Camp. And she is currently our Teacher of the Year here at Plainfield. We are so excited and proud of her. But most important, I have gotten to know Karisa for several years. Even from the beginning, she was a student teacher right next door to me in 2004. And I've gotten to see her grow as an educator. And then also my daughter got to have her in fourth grade. So I got to see her as a teacher from a parent point of view. And then everything that I see Karisa do over all these many years has really started to challenge me to step outside my box and to become a better teacher. So I'm so thankful for her and that we get to learn from each other every day. And then Elaine Townsend is someone who represents us from the high school here in Plainfield. And I am so lucky that I got to meet her 7 years ago because we have gotten to do so much together, and we keep getting to know each other more and more. The way we met was our school corporation does a retreat each summer for a few days and brings leaders from the corporation to build on something that we want to accomplish in the future. And that's been STEM, that's been design thinking, that has been the 4 C's. And we keep growing with that within the corporation and as educators. So one retreat, 7 years ago, one of the questions was, how are we going to make STEM better? How are we going to do it better in our school system and make it more effective? And one of the things that I brought up was we need to have more hands on deck. We need other people within our corporation helping each other. And I was like, first grade and kindergarten and all the elementary students that we have would benefit from learning from our middle school and high school students. If high school gets out early, why can't they come and be a part of our classroom and educate us and help us with STEM? And as soon as we were done that day, Elaine said, hey, we're going to do it. And we formed a partnership right then, and that's been exciting. And we've been able to help our kids build upon STEM concepts for several years now. And now other elementaries within our building are also using her group called HOSA. That's at the elementary or at the high school level to help elementary students build on their STEM. Elaine has also had her children in Karisa's classroom and have gotten to know Karisa that way. I've gotten to teach all 3 of Karisa's kids. And then my daughter has also been in Elaine's class for 2 years with her PLTW classes with medical interventions and human body systems. So when you later on see our Instagram and text our Instagram information, get on there because we post things all the time from all of our rooms, and we would love for you to be a part of that.
Thank you, Dayna. So our goals, as we were thinking about what we wanted to accomplish, because really we wanted to show how this really works from the lowest level in the elementaries to the highest level at the high school, and how we're all teaching different curriculum, but how it can all come together kind of in this beautiful STEM piece. And I think it's really great that we can kind of showcase each piece of the educational as we progress on, as the kids progress on. So really, we just want to continue to work on building the integration of STEM into everything we do and reach out to others, because I think it's really great that Keep Indiana Learning has given us this platform to reach people beyond our district and get to collaborate and learn from others. And that's really, I think, when the three of us talked, our biggest goal. We want to meet other people that are like-minded, that really want to take STEM to the next level and see the purpose behind the full integration. So as we think about where we want to go with this in the next several live streams, we just really kind of want to keep it open, like a conversation back and forth, learning from each other, but then learning from other people as well.
So we wanted to give you a little background about where we come from. We're all in different buildings in the same district. What works really good in our partnership is that Dayna is a specialist K-2, and Karisa kind of those middle years, 3 to 5, 3 to 6, and then I have taught 7 to 12. Our school district began its STEM integration probably about 10 years ago by putting in PLTW engineering, and about 7 years ago PLTW biomed in the high school, with a little trickling down to the middle school. But there was a big investment 5 or 6 years ago into building an imagination lab for our elementary students to go do STEM. Once a month, they get to go to the lab. And it was quickly discovered that we need more than that. And so as we built out an idea lab in the middle school and maker spaces in all of our schools, we also expanded our PLTW program, kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. And now that that is in place, teachers like Karisa and Dayna have really figured out new ways to take the tools that PLTW is giving them and really integrate them with what they're reading, what they're learning in history, what they're doing in math. And so we're STEM top to bottom, but in our schools, we're always trying to bring it to a new level. And so that's part of what we're trying to do here as well.
Well, my name is Dayna Cade. I currently teach first grade. This is my 24th year of teaching, and I started when kindergarten wasn't even something that all students went to when they were little, and we decided, and it was just a half-day program, and it's whoever wanted to come. So when I started my teaching, I started teaching a half-day kindergarten that was a trial here at Plainfield for a full day program. So I would have kids for kindergarten half a day and then another half a day from a different room to make it a full day program for them. So I kind of piloted that here at Plainfield. Then I started teaching first grade, and I looped with my kids K2 for 2 years. And then so I've taught K through 2, and I've taught first grade for the rest of my time. So for 21 years, I've taught first grade. When I first started teaching first grade, it's kind of like what the other two ladies did. They were using chalkboards and laminators, they were using chalkboards and markers on a board. Now we have smart boards in our classrooms. We are not checking out a VCR and pushing it into our classroom. We are using apps and streaming things in on a daily basis. So I think some of you out there are probably the same way, where you have just grown with your technology. But I also started where I really felt passionate about small group education in the classroom and feeling like that was the only way to really meet the needs of my students. But, and also feeling like I had to do everything from the workbook, everything from the textbook. But now I've gotten to the point where, I still believe in small groups and that it is important to help with the differentiation of your classroom for sure. But I really believe in the connection that the students have and the collaboration students need to have with each other and the engagement and how they can work together to be the problem solvers that they need to be. And if you want to go ahead and move to the next slide, you can see that all of my kids most of the time are working in groups of 4 to create or finish a project and to investigate in some way. And they're working with their shoulder partner or their face partner to do that. And it's not just necessary in a station form. So they are definite problem solvers within the room. And I don't feel like I have to divide it up into station form every day because they all have something in their hands. They're all learning and projecting that learning each day with what we do. Even up at the top of the slide, you can see one of Elaine's students who are there that come once a month to help do design projects and work with STEM in our classroom. Also, one thing that I do is known for is I have a passion for dressing for learning, and I encourage my students to do the same through themes, and that helps with how I choose the STEM projects we do each day or what we're involved in. Also, I use phonics and our reading skills to help design what we're going to do and to integrate STEM, math, and other sciences and social studies, writing all into our day as a connective piece rather than teaching them separate or waiting for a Friday to do a STEM project. So they all have a connection and all have a reason why they are the things that are happening in our room. And I think with dressing to learn, it helps students see the excitement that I have for learning and the excitement they can bring to learning. And it helps them focus in on our day and what we're talking about. And it helps them know that they can step outside the box and they can be themselves, and it's okay to be a little different, and that they can be creative. And it helps my students with the themes to connect to the world, and that's a first grade standard, is connecting words to that we hear and read about to the world. I feel like Karisa does a fabulous job connecting her room to others and to the world around us through the things that she does in 4th grade. I'd love for you to tell them a little bit more about that, Karisa.
Sure. I think that it's really interesting to reflect because, this is my 19th year teaching. And when I started, you hear about people teaching for 20 years and you're like, that's forever. And then you're there and you're like, it doesn't feel like forever. I'm not that old. So it's interesting, even 19 years ago, like Dayna said, how things have changed from overhead projectors and chalkboards to smart boards and one-to-one devices for students. And so when I first started, I did teach special education for 6 years. So I have a dual license, and things were different in special ed then, just like things are different in gen ed now. So it's interesting to reflect, we've moved so much more towards the inclusion piece of education for all learners, which also just empowers all students in STEM. But things were different. We relied more heavily on textbooks and really just kind of drilling in what they needed to know. And I don't really feel like I was making these real world connections. And so you fast forward, and it is so amazing to think about, even since the pandemic, the opportunities that have come up really because of it, all the things that we've been able to do virtually now. So really kind of the unexpected joy that has come from a very hard time for everyone. I love that piece when I'm talking to students and other educators, that really we can see some positives. I mean, we went from having 3 computers in the classroom for 28 students to everybody has a device, and we can access anything and everything we need at the tips of our fingertips. So I love that Dayna said that she, loves how I connect to the real world. And it's nice for colleagues to point that out, because sometimes you do wonder, like, am I doing something that makes a difference? But I love that. I love every day being an adventure. I love to hear students say, I don't want to miss school because I'm sure we're going to do something that we won't be able to redo, an experience. I try to think about myself as an adult, and when I learn the most, it's not from a worksheet. It's not from paperwork I have to fill out. It's from actually doing something that has a connection. And so we do focus on building connections in our classroom and in our school and our corporation, like with these ladies, and in our community, and really the world. I love taking my students on virtual experiences to the national parks and showing them that even the national parks have problems that we can help solve. And I really love our overall theme in our corporation, kind of our mission statement is bringing joy to learning. And I really feel like to do that, we have to find joy in teaching. And so we really have to get to our passions and what we care about and share that with students as they are really navigating what their passions are. So STEM, my biggest belief is that STEM is really for all, and it levels the playing field for students who maybe have not felt successful in other areas of the curriculum. They feel like they can really change the world. And I love these pictures. So these are just from the last couple of weeks at school, just getting outside and showing students using technology and using it in a new way. The student on the right was taking her first selfie. I was showing her how she could use the computer with the camera. And as soon, just look at her face. And she invited all of her friends over to be in the picture. And I had no idea that picture was being taken, but I'm so happy that it did get taken, because it really captures the joy that STEM brings to everyone.
And I'm Elaine Townsend. It's so funny. Dayna dresses for the theme, and Karisa always looks beautiful every time I've been to a room. And I dress for whatever I don't mind spilling something disgusting on, being in a high school laboratory. So tomorrow we're dissecting hearts. I will definitely be wearing a shirt that I'm willing to throw away at the end of the day. I took a very different route to becoming an educator. I'm also in my 19th year, and I've taught 8th through 12th. I'm high school PLTW now, but I went to undergraduate for a biology degree, and then I went to graduate school and have a degree in biology from Murray State, working outside. I am like Karisa, love the state parks and the great outdoors, and kind of backdoored into going into almost like a Teach America. 20 years ago, it was a little bit different, into the classroom. So what I carried into the classroom as I started as a teacher and a student getting my license at the same time was I took with me what my best teachers did and why I love them the most. And I also took with me, having 2 degrees in science, the knowledge that the laboratory piece was extremely important to success. And so when I started teaching with chalk the first year, I always put lab in. I always did a lot of lab, but I really stuck to the book, the problems in the book, and the lab was a separate piece, very similar to what college is like. And what I've learned over the last, 7 to 10 years, especially when the AP programs went to inquiry based, was I don't have to teach like this at all. And I very, very rarely lecture a thing anymore. We teach by doing in my room. It is fully integrated. The lessons are learned by the kids having an experience. And I think that for me, that is probably the biggest change in my career, is that the kids are not a bystander anymore watching me. They are fully engrossed with what we're doing in the room. And so I put some pictures on today to show you that my kids in the bottom right, you can see they learn how it is to be a phlebotomist. They're doing measurements. They're taking data using their computers. They're building models of the human body systems to learn the organs and the major systems rather than me giving them a worksheet to fill in. And so I have had an integrated classroom, and I know a lot of people that know about PLTW know they've got an incredible curriculum. But I've done this in everything I've taught in the last 7 or 8 years. And one of the things that Karisa said really, I think, shines through, that it's an equalizer. I have students in my room that don't speak English as their primary language, that are on an IEP, have never been successful in another classroom, and they excel in the STEM classroom because they get to experience it and do it. Whereas a traditional room where they're only judged by their scores, by how well they write, they get to show me that they can draw and that they can create and that they can, just really explore their own learning. And so I agree with her, the STEM on that. Working the last few years with these two ladies is just taken and expanded my passion a lot. I steal ideas from both of them, which you might think is funny because, they're first and fourth grade. But it's amazing how an 11th grader is like a first grader when you give them a sticker. And all of a sudden, they want to do more for you. Or you send them a postcard in the mail like Karisa does, and all of a sudden they want to do more for you. It's the same with kids all the way through. They want to be loved. They want to be engaged. And STEM, I think, again, is that great equalizer. So our hopes going here into the future is this. We're very passionate about it, if you can't tell. But we all agree that STEM can be integrated at any time, and that it needs to not be set aside as an activity we do on Fridays for fun. And I will say this, as a STEM teacher, I know, again, it seems like, oh, well, it's easy for you, but I believe integration all the way around. I integrate into my science classroom math. I integrate, obviously, technology, but I also integrate history. It's important that kids learn the background behind the scientist involved, the time span where things were developed, the tools we're using. It's important that students are able to come out of my room and to write and to speak fluently and to communicate what their findings are. And so we all believe in a well-rounded student. And I think that if we can take and integrate that STEM and help you integrate it into your room and really change that methodology of how we approach things through a new lens, that's what we're hoping to do. So this is kind of where we're thinking we're going to go. We definitely want a lot of feedback from our audience as our audience hopefully grows beyond our family members. But next month, the number one thing the three of us believe most is you must bring passion to your classroom and joy to your classroom. And so we want to talk about how we do that in our rooms and bring that energy that brings the kids back every day. That makes them want to get to know us and us to share more of ourselves. And then the byproduct is they start sharing their hopes and their dreams and their passions and what they want to learn about, and how that can then snowball into an exploratory classroom. In November, we're going to look at challenges. How do we throw a challenge out to our room? And how do you then organize the kids so they know how to meet the challenge without us giving it away? And so Dayna or Karisa, someone's going to tell you about the next chunk.
All right. And then since we have 9 that we get to present, December, we're going to talk about how we can make connections within your corporation, within your school system, within your school, within your community and beyond. And also how to connect those subjects within your classroom. We're also going to talk in January how to start a new year with STEM. And then also we're going to share some ideas that you've shared with us, or we've gained from also our colleagues, in order to have a great year.
So in February, talking about textbooks and how to rely less heavily. I know we can't dump them completely, but really thinking about how to take the content and turn it into an experience. March, yay for integration, and really talk about, like Elaine said, how STEM is woven into everything that we do across all subject areas. April, easy assessment. I think that's one of the biggest things I hear is like, how do you grade this? How do you assess this? What does this look like? So we're going to dive into that topic in April. And then May, just really wrapping it up with STEM is really for all, and how this kind of all comes together at the end. First semester, all of our live streams will be the third Monday, and second semester, they'll be the second Monday of the month. And then we did create a Google form just because I think feedback is so important. It's so important from our students, but so important from our peers and the people that are tuning in, like she said, hopefully more than just our moms. So if you scan the QR code, it's just a couple of questions. We would just like to know who's watching, and if you have any feedback for us. And there is a question about like how Dayna should dress for the next one to keep people coming back. So we would just really love to hear from you at the end.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in, even if it's live or when you get to view it on your own. This section is where you can even scan it and connect with us. There's our Instagram right there at YaySTEM and our Twitter at YaySTEM. So we hope to hear from you. And we didn't shout out a lot of ideas this time, but it was more about getting to know who we are. So in our next 8 episodes, we can share some ideas. And hopefully you can also share them with us so we can share them with whoever wants to check in. We appreciate you, and we hope you have a great month. And yay, STEM!